In this video, I'm going to go over the selection tools. I'll show you three of the main used ones, and then I'll go over how to manipulate them, how to clean up with the eraser tool, and give you the ability to cut out parts of an image and bring it into another image. All right, so to start with, I have two pictures, one of an eye and one of a moon. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select this moon and I'm going to bring it into the eye. So your selection tools are on the left-hand side. You have several options. The first one is lasso. Lasso tool works like this. As you select it, you can free draw it. It allows you to choose which pixels are selected. In order to move it, you have to go to the move tool, and then you can move the part that you cut out. I'm going to undo that by going to Command Z. And then let's look at a different selection tool. So right now this is still selected and I don't want it to be selected. I could go to Select and Deselect. The shortcut is Command D. Next, I'm going to show you the magnetic tool. Magnetic lasso tool, excuse me. If you right click, you can go to magnetic lasso. Magnetic lasso works like this. It selects the pixels that it thinks that you want based off of the color choices that you're going near. So in this case, it's a little bit easier because the background is black. Sometimes this works well and sometimes it doesn't. So every time you get to the end, if you just saw there when that little circle appears and you click on it, that completes your selection. So again, to be able to move that, I'd have to select the move tool and drag it out. You can see that's not really a clean cut selection, but it did what I needed it to do. All right, Command Z will undo, or you could go and we need to deselect it, so you can go to Select, Deselect. Okay. Or Command D will deselect. All right, the next one that we're going to use is the Quick Selection tool. Quick Selection tool works by following the edges in the image, and so as you drag around, it's going to find the edges. This works pretty good. But you can see sometimes, like right now where I got close to the dark edge of the moon, it selected the part that I didn't want. Let's just say we go with that for now, and I'm going to show you how to clean it up and change it. All right, so if I wanted to take away from this area and I say, okay, well, I didn't want this background. I'm going to switch to the lasso tool, because I prefer to free draw it when it comes to removing, but you could still do this with the others. If you hold down the Shift key, watch what happens. If I hold down the Shift, a plus sign arrives, and that means that I could then select more and add to it, and it would add to it. If I hold down the Option key, a minus sign arrives, and that means that I can then, whatever I draw, take away from my selection. So those are your options for being able to do it before you cut it out and bring it over. Let me show you what happens if you want to bring it into another picture and then adjust it from there. All right, so let's say I have my move tool and I've got my moon. I'm going to pick it up and I'm not going to let go of my mouse. I'm going to keep holding my mouse. I'm going to drag it up until this picture and then bring it back down. Now I'm going to release my mouse, and here I have the moon. Okay, so looking at this, let's look at our layers. You have two layers. You have the original picture of the eye, and then you have the layer of the moon. I'm going to double click and name it moon, just so I can keep track of it a little bit better. And now I'm going to talk to you about doing the eraser tool. Okay, so I'd like to zoom into the edge of the moon, and to zoom in, I could go several. Right, so here's the zoom tool. So if you click on this, you can click, click, click. It will allow you to zoom out. And if you want to, or zoom in, and if you want to zoom out, hold down the Option key, click, 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 you can zoom out. What I use all the time is the Command key and plus. Command plus, 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 you can zoom in, minus, 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 you can zoom out. So Command minus to zoom out, Command plus to zoom in. And let's say that you're zoomed in, Command plus, and you want to get to a different part of the picture. You could use the hand tool, which allows you to drag it, or you could simply hold down the space bar, which temporarily makes it the hand tool, allows you to drag it, and then it goes back to whatever tool you were working on, which is really handy to do. Okay, so I'm going to clean up the edges of the moon. So I'm just going to go right here. And what I want to do is to go to our eraser tool. Eraser tool is right here. I'm going to click on it. I have to make sure that I'm on the moon layer. So whatever layer you're on, that's the layer that will get erased. And right now you can see if I do this, it'll start to erase the top layer and show me what's underneath. I would like a bigger brush size, so I'm going to right click and then I can adjust my brush size. up here. There we go. Okay, now that allows me to quickly kind of, oh, I somehow twisted my canvas around. Hang on one second. I'll adjust that layer. Okay, so I'm going to erase the parts that I do not want. And I'll go in with a smaller eraser a little bit later on after I get this chunked out and done, and then I will fine tune it. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom in, Command plus, or you can go to View, Zoom in, and there's Zoom out. So every time you go to one of these menus up top, it shows you what a shortcut is, and eventually you'll learn those shortcuts, and they just help you move a little bit faster so that it doesn't take you as long. All right. Okay, so here we go. I'm continue on with my eraser tool, and if I right click, I can change the size, and now you can also change the hardness, which means, and you can get in here with some of the brush effects, which means, do you want it to look like a smooth, even erase? Do you want it to be a subtle erase? Here's some options up here. If you go to opacity, so opacity of the layer right here, if I click on it and put the layer down, you can see that it makes it see-through. Opacity, the root word would be opaque. So transparent means you can see through. Opaque means you can't see through. So when you talk about the opacity, if I lower the opacity, it makes it so that it's more see-through. As I raise the opacity, it makes it so it's not see-through. But if I'm on a tool and I go to the opacity of the tool, that means that instead of being a solid erase, it's going to erase part of it. That's not what I want right now, but I just wanted to show you that you can change the opacity of the tools, and you can change the flow of it. You can change all kinds of things to get the exact look that you're going for. Right now, I just want to come in and clean up. And this makes a difference, guys, right here between a good Photoshop job and a bad Photoshop job. You can tell when a picture's been altered a lot of times, and if someone's really good, it's very hard to tell because they've come in and cleaned up, they've zoomed in, and they've done a really good job. So here it is. I'm just going to come in and clean up around the edge of this. Now, I don't want to make this tutorial too long, so I am not going to take a lot of time on this. It'll be a little bit rougher than I would normally do if I was doing it for a job. But I just want to show you guys how this turns out. Okay. And let me just do that. Oops, that looked really bad. If you make a mistake, you can do, again, Command Z. Control is what you would use if you're on a PC. We're using Mac, so it's Command. Also, if you go to Window and you go to History, this will bring up all of your steps that you've done since you've opened, including like all the way back to the beginning or back to where you are. And so that's kind of good if you want to go step by step and go back. All right, so I want to change my moon. I'm going to go to Edit, and I'm going to go to Transform and Scale. And I'm just going to make my moon smaller and bring it over here towards the eye, make it a little bit bigger. And then when I have it just about the spot I want it to be, I'll go ahead and hit enter and set it. So here we go. I brought the moon into her eye instead of her eye. And really, I would play with this a lot more, changing the opacity to blend it out a little bit, going in and maybe fine-tuning the eraser so that I can't see the eyelid right there. That was a little too much. And right here. And there we go. That's a little bit of a cleaner cut. And that's the basics of the selection tool, how to use the eraser tool, how to move it. Remember also you can do all kinds of fun stuff if you go to Edit and you go to Transform. You can scale it, you can rotate it, skew it, distort, perspective, warp, all kinds of fun things. So this is really how you alter it. If you wanted to copy something, let's say that you wanted to duplicate your moon, you can select, make sure you're on your moon, and you could go to Edit, Copy, and then Edit, Paste. The shortcut is Command C and Command V. And then if you're on a PC, it would be Control C, Control V. So I'm going to select this, Command C, Command V, and I have two moons. I could then play around with changing the color of it, all kinds of things. But for now, that's all we're going to discuss. Let me know what questions you have, and hopefully this helps you guys get a better understanding of the selection tools.